Hi, okay, welcome to our training video. This will be your training for the month of December. We are not doing any in-person trainings due to the ongoing situation with COVID-19, as unfortunately our numbers in Arkansas and other parts of the United States continue to rise. This is the best way to get the information, the training information that we need you to know to you in the most timely manner. So today we're going to talk about pandemic procedures mostly. That's what the training is going to be listed on your PDR transcript. We're going to talk about a few other little housekeeping things towards the end. Before we kind of dive into pandemic procedures, I'm going to go over a few things that are listed on the DCCEC information regarding COVID-19 on the website. So it says it's important that you and your staff continue to take steps to limit spreading of illness, including asking staff to stay home while sick and asking families to keep sick children at home. Cleaning your hands often with either alcohol-based hand sanitizer or with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Covering your cough and sneezes with a tissue, then place the used tissue directly into a no-touch waste bin. If tissues aren't available, coughing or sneezing into the upper sleeve is okay, but not into your hands. So those are just some tips that are listed on the very top of the DCCEC website. The pandemic procedures that we're going to talk about, first thing we're going to talk about is group size. Most of you are going to be familiar with these, with the pandemic procedures that I'm going to discuss with you. They'll just be a review. Hopefully, if not, please make note. These are very, very important to keep everyone healthy and safe during this pandemic. So we do have some group size restrictions. The exact regulation states classroom ratios remain the same as what is outlined in minimum licensing requirements. However, the group sizes for activities and instruction within the classroom shall be limited to 10 people, including staff and children. If ratio allows for more than 10 children in a class, then the children should be separated into groups within the classroom. To the extent possible, children should remain in the same assigned group each day to reduce the likelihood of potential exposure. The individual groups should not be combined with other groups in common areas such as playgrounds or cafeterias. Okay, so let's break this down. What this means is your ratios don't change. Okay, so the ratios that you've been taught are the same. They've not changed. So you're 1 to 5, 1 to 8, 1 to 12, 1 to 15, 1 to 18, all of those, they're all the same. Okay, what changes is your group size. So the group size may not even affect you. So if you're in the infant classroom and you're one teacher with 5 babies, this group size, you're already under the group size requirements, so it's basically not applicable. It does change when you become a classroom of 10 babies with 2 teachers, or whatever combination that may get you to the number of 10 total people in a space. So you have to make sure that you separate the children into specific groups. Okay, so in an infant classroom, what this is going to look like is 5 babies having floor time, tummy time, a few babies in the jumpers, exercisers, or swings, or maybe asleep in the bed. But you could not have 6 babies on the carpet at one time. Okay, so you have to watch their group sizes stay within that number that we need, and it does include the teacher. So the teacher is included in that number of 10. So if we have to combine a class due to you know staffing issues or something like that. Like sometimes we'll have to combine like Zoo and Cowboy Town, and that can make that total classroom group size over 10, but still within ratios. So that can be really difficult to manage the groups with toddlers, you see. So please be very just careful and aware of these group size recommendations. So using your centers is a wonderful way to manage your groups. This works very well with the preschool ages 3 through 5 and up, and the school agers as well. So rotating through the learning centers and watching your group sizes, just having 2 or 3 in a center at a time can and rotating those center groups can keep you in compliance with your group sizes. So, and then the next one, to the extent possible, children should remain in the same assigned group each day to reduce the likelihood of potential exposure. So we're trying really, really hard to do this administratively for you, which means we're trying hard not to, excuse me, bump kids up or move kids down unless we absolutely have to. Basically, unless there's a staffing issue that we have to combine a classroom or send someone home or something like that. We're trying really hard to keep them in their assigned groups, because the reason behind this is if there ever was a positive case of say a child tested positive in a class. So instead of potentially closing the entire facility, we could possibly close just that classroom if we had limited that exposure in a good way. So that's the reason behind it. Now, that why the wording says to the extent possible is because sometimes it's not possible, and we know that because life happens and COVID quarantines and but just keep that in mind as well. So this also applies to the playground. No more than one classroom on the playground at a time. So we have 4 open spaces on the playground that you can use. So 4 classrooms at a time can go outside. If there's not an open playground space, then you're going to have to wait until a classroom comes inside, and the director in charge can help manage that for you, but you cannot go out on the playground with another classroom at the same time. The next section talks about general health requirements, drop off and pickup requiring outside the facility. We're already doing all of these things, which is working really well for us. We have had several parents who have tested positive for COVID-19, and because we have been in compliance with outside drop off and pickup and screening procedures and the pandemic procedures, we have not had any positive cases in our facility as far as staff and children, and we want to keep it that way. So that's why we're doing this video, so that we can communicate this very important information, so that we can continue to hopefully keep it that way. So basically we're really limiting who can come inside the facility. So only people with legal authority, law enforcement, DHS, health department, people like that. Facility staff are the only people that have door codes now. Therapists are allowed as long as they're screened. Like the milkman, people like that. But other than that, we're just really trying to keep people out. We do the pandemic screening. So when you come in, if you have not been automatically screened, please screen yourself at the front desk. It's not really what we want, but I would rather you screen yourself than not be screened at all. So if someone is not right at the front desk when you come to clock in, There are thermometers at the front desk, and the pandemic screening staff screening form is also at the front desk, so you can answer all of those questions, sign it, and write your temperature down. Of course, if the director or supervisor is at the front desk, they will do that for you, but please make sure that you are completing that screening. The screening questions include a temperature of 100.4 or above in the last 48 hours, signs or symptoms of COVID, including cough, fever, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, chills, repeated shaking with chills, muscle pain, headache, sore throat, loss of taste or smell. I've heard of a ton of other symptoms with COVID as well. So, especially if you've been in any close contact with someone who's had a positive diagnosis of COVID, if they have not completed their quarantine after the close contact with the positive screen, or if you yourself had a positive test for COVID in the last 10 days or are awaiting the results of the test. So those are all of our screening criteria. So the next part talks about masks. You know that masks are required. Masks are no joke. We expect you to wear your mask at all time. In accordance, here's what it says specifically. In accordance with the mask mandate, staff shall wear a face mask to reduce the risk of potential spread from people who may be asymptomatic or pre-symptomatic, including transportation staff. Masks may be made of cloth. 2 layers of 100% cloth is recommended if cloth masks are used. Cloth masks need to be laundered daily. Neck gaiters and similar wraps that go around the neck and do not have 2 layers of material do not meet the mask requirement. And masks with valves do not meet the requirement as it allows more germs to be released into the air. Okay, so just make sure that you're wearing your mask at all times. Make sure that you're wearing it properly. Make sure that it covers your face and your nose. Make sure that you're wearing it at all times, including on the playground, at outside. No exceptions. Okay, let's see. Just the last couple things we'll talk about here. It just says emphasize to employees the importance of not coming to work when having symptoms of COVID-19 until the cause has been investigated by a medical professional. So that covers most of the pandemic procedures. If you have any questions about any of that, of anything that we have covered, please contact me, or you can contact Harley as well if you have any questions. Okay, the next thing that we're going to talk about is the essential voucher. This really only applies to you if you're a staff member who has a child in our facility. So some of you may be aware that Congress has just recently approved some additional funding similar to what they did back in the spring with the CARES funding. This will extend the essential voucher. There was some talk of this like in the last week or two, but nothing kind of like official yet. Still nothing official, but they've talked about it enough that we know it's like coming down the pipeline. So we do expect those to be renewed for everyone that has an essential voucher. What I don't know is when or how long. So I know those vouchers do expire this Thursday. So that will mean that potentially you may be private paying for a short period of time. I don't know. They may retro it. I don't know. I know it will probably be covered. I just don't know when or how long. So good news, but just don't have a lot of details quite yet. But I will let you know just as soon as I have the official information. Y'all will be the first to know. Okay, so then the last few things that we're going to talk about are just some housekeeping things and some general reminders. So I teach this one class called the the top 10 basics of childcare, and it's basically the top 10 things that if like childcare licensing is going to come into your facility and do an inspection, these are the top 10 things that facilities get like written up for, get facility violations for. So I have that plus some more. So this is like the top 10 plus. But some of you may not know, but I come up to the facility every single weekend. Okay. I work anywhere on the weekends from 2 to 12 hours, just kind of depending on the project or the goal or the to-do list that I have for that day. And each weekend it generates a facility inspection report. That facility inspection report then goes to the site director, usually Harley, or the other supervisors who help manage the facility. And it includes a facility inspection, which you would assume, an inspection of the entire facility, anything that is out of compliance that needs to be addressed. So I have gone through the last several weeks of our facility inspection reports, and I have compiled a list of some things that we have been consistently seeing that we feel like need some reminders about. They're not really in any specific order. I kind of tried to group it a little bit, but just bear with me here. Okay, so the first thing is, let's talk about our the My Kid State app. So this app is really, really important, guys. The purpose of the app is to help parents have a part in their child's day, especially because they are not able to come inside and they do not have access to the facility. They have very limited knowledge of what happens throughout the day other than what we tell them or the pictures that we sent. So this becomes very, very, very important. I know it's hard because your time is limited and we're asking you to do all these other things and limiting the group sizes and what, but putting information in the app is super, super important. And I want to emphasize that. I just want to underline that right off the front. Please make sure that you are inputting every child in your care, all of their meals, their breakfast, lunch, snack, all of their diaper changes, their potty attempts, potty changes, all of their activities. And please send pictures. Parents love the pictures, the videos. That has become essential in this pandemic, is more electronic communication. And some of y'all do really, really well at that. I see all of it. I'm able to go in and I look at the reports. I see what you've sent parents. I read the messages. I get copied on everything. I see what you send, but I also see what you don't send. And there are some specific parents who y'all are going to know who those parents are who want that information. So if you have one of those parents in your class, you're going to know about it because you're going to have heard from us about it. It's very, very important to put that information in your app. If you have any questions at all about that, if you have any problems about getting information put in your app, please let us know because it needs to be a priority. Okay, so let's move on. These first few things mostly talk about closing staff. So aftercare staff, if you're an aftercare staff, please listen carefully. So at the end of the day, there's some really important closing procedures that help our facility run really smoothly. And you play a really important role in the overall operation. So doing simple things like taking the soap and bleach water to the kitchen at the end of the day is really, really important. Please make sure that you're doing that. If you're not doing it, then someone else is having to go behind you and do it, because we have to make the soapy water and bleach water fresh every single day. So it's a very simple thing. Just walk it to the kitchen when you clock out. You may not know this, so that's the purpose of why we're doing this video. We do also have the cleaning closing checklist. The cleaning closing checklist is a very comprehensive checklist. It has absolutely everything that you could possibly think of that you need to do before you clock out and close the classroom. So please, please use that cleaning closing checklist, and you'll make sure that you get everything done. Things like replacing the soap and paper towels. Every single weekend, there is a classroom, usually more than one classroom, on the facility checklist, the facility inspection list, that is deficient in, I have to go in and replace their soap in like a soap dispenser, or their paper towels. These are small little things that if the aftercare staff did it in the afternoon before they clocked out, then our morning staff is not rushing around trying to get it done when they've got kids there first thing in the morning, or making us out of compliance if DHS comes in unexpected and we don't have soap at a sink and a child can't wash their hands for breakfast or something like that. So we do this to prevent situations like that from happening. So it may sound silly. You know, these are silly, simple things. Yes, they are. They're silly, simple things. That's exactly why we need to be doing them every single day, because they're very simple things. Things like replacing outlet plugs. You vacuum, you got to take the outlet plug out every single time. You also have to put it back in every single time. We have these outlet plugs for safety purposes. So please make sure, just do a general scan of your classroom when you walk out. Are all your outlet plugs back in? Just check and make sure. Make sure that your tablets are charged, at the end of your shift, that you've plugged them back in. Make sure that you're wiping them down, that you're using that bleach water at the end of your shift, that you're cleaning it down. This is something that multiple people are touching throughout the day. Think about that. Think about all of the people that are touching that, and what they're touching, and what they're contacting, who they've been in contact, all of their contacts. If they got COVID, how many, these are the things that you have to think about, okay? So just little simple things like wiping down commonly touched items like doorknobs, light switches, handles, water faucet, handles, things like that. Our pre-K, making sure that the water bottle cups are taken to the kitchen to be washed daily. Very, very important. The air filters in the classroom, a lot of times I have to go in and turn them back on. I don't know if they get turned off or why, but please keep your air filters on. Keep them on either a level 2 or a level 3. They sanitize the air and help take bacteria out of the air. So they're really important to help us minimize the spread of germs and illnesses. Okay, so other general reminders, keep all of your cabinets locked. We have the buckle locks now on almost all of the cabinets. I've ordered some more, so if you are in need of a few more, we've got those on order. Keep all of your changing tables locked at all times. Make sure that you are checking all of your bags with the children upon arrival. So you're required to remove anything that says keep out of reach of young children or contact poison control. So you're going to have to look on the back of whatever item that you have, read the fine print. If it says keep out of reach of young children or contact poison control, you need to take whatever item that is and lock it up in your teacher cabinet. So, and then you'll need to contact the parent and let them know that you've had to lock their item up or usually we'll have the director call and explain, you know, if it's Tylenol or something, then we want to keep an unopened bottle here or whatever. But what you're responsible for is making sure those items are removed from the bag and placed in a locked area. Okay, so it's very, very, very important. Also, several times I've come into the building on the weekend and the back doors are not properly closed. They're either cracked, or sometimes I've come in and it's like wide open. And that's kind of scary, especially if you're opening in the morning and you're the first one to come in and the door's open. So please make sure that if you are closing in the afternoon, these doors kind of stick. You have to kind of slam it a little. You got to put some muscle behind it. Pull it tight and make sure that those back doors on the playground properly latch and properly close. We're almost done. We have a new laundry system that we're going to try out. We've laminated some new laundry signs. So we've had some problems with separating like clean and dirty laundry, and people are just throwing laundry in the laundry room and we're not sure what's clean or dirty. And so we've laminated some signs to kind of keep up with that. And I've got a new file system I'm going to put up on the wall. So what I want you to do is, in how you can help with this, is when you're doing laundry, you're just going to put the appropriate sign on whatever laundry that you have. So if there is an available washing machine, start your laundry. Don't leave laundry, just don't put it in there. If there's an open machine, go ahead and start it. But if there's not, then you can leave it in there and just put a dirty sign like on top of your laundry basket. If you're switching over, like if you're in there starting laundry, please switch over the laundry as well. So if you take out someone else's laundry, please put a clean sign on top of that laundry basket and set it somewhere separate from the dirty laundry, either outside in the hallway, or we've been a lot of times putting it in the staff room on the black couch. And then put those, those signs back up. So that will help us. We're trying to work that system out. We're going to try this and see how it works. We'll let you know if it works or if it doesn't. The playground. So the playground has been working better since our last training video. We do have all of our magnetic latches on all of our gates. So just some reminders that you need to make sure that all of the gates are closed at all times. So they are magnetic latches, but some of them kind of stick. You have to kind of pull them. So make sure that they are closed at all times. Make sure that you are doing your playground inspection, that you're removing any broken items, any broken toys, any trash. Please, if you're on the big playground with the swings, the Dr. Seuss, the big kid playground, please check the area by the fence. If you see any glass in the problem area, if you don't know what I'm talking about, please see the supervisor. We have gone over that area with a fine tooth comb, but I just want to be super, super, super careful. So if you are out there with a class, please really watch that area and inspect that area very carefully and let us know if you find anything that we need to be aware of. Okay, the last things that we're going to go over, I'm going to go through specific classrooms, things that I need you to address in your classrooms. The first thing I'll talk about is just some infant toddler reminders. So really this is specific for Circus Rainbow and Zoo. So I know Harley has talked to y'all a little bit about the cribs in the classroom, but this is just a reminder because as our infant room is growing and when we have more than 5 infants in there at a time, the space, even though it's a big classroom, babies have a lot of equipment and all the jumpers and bouncers and beds and swings and toys and shelves and, everything takes up a lot of space. So right now we have the cribs kind of, compacted together, which is fine for storage. But when they're in use, they need to be separated. Okay. So when you put a baby in the bed, they have to be a minimum of 1 foot apart. That's the minimum. Preferably 3 or 6, which is we're never going to get the cribs 6 feet apart, but minimum is 1 foot apart, okay? Unless it's separated by a solid barrier. So just please remember that to keep your cribs separated. Storing them together is fine, but as soon as you put the babies in there, they need to be separated by a solid barrier or 1 foot apart. We talked about checking bags. The infant room is notorious for keeping medicine cabinets in their diaper bags. So just please, if you're in the infant rooms, make sure that you're really checking those diaper bags very carefully every day. Making sure that you're sending the bottles and sippy cups to the kitchen to be washed. Do not wash any bottles or sippy cups in the sink. They must be sent after each use to the kitchen. All bottles and cups must be labeled. So we have provided each classroom with baby bottle labels that are washable. So please use those and make sure that they're labeled at all times. When you're placing a child down to sleep, you must remove anything that is around their neck. So this could be like a pacifier clip, a bib, a jacket with a hood, or even a shirt that has a hood on it. So just please be aware of that as well. When you put babies in their bed, you must put them on their back to sleep. When they, if they're old enough or big enough to roll over on their own, that's fine. You don't have to move them if they've, rolled over on their own and rolled over on their tummy. But when you lay them down, you just have to put them on their back to sleep. And the only thing that's ever allowed in the baby bed is, the light receiving blanket. So we never ever have any of those like thick, fluffy, winter type blankets. Those are not allowed. Only the real thin receiving type blanket from the waist down, and the baby. Nothing else. No toys. No pillows. No, nothing. Stuffed animals. Nothing else. And just remember to label everything. So pacifiers, bottles, label everything.